Hey y'all, welcome to Anita's World, a safe space for everyone. I am at the park today and I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty hot. The sun is literally beaming right on me, but it really feels good on my skin. I can already feel my serotonin levels increasing as I'm out here. And the park that I'm at is a really huge park. It has a view of the bay, it has nature trails and picnic tables and everything, and I found this like open just land field. There's really nothing but trees and just openness. Let me show you. It's literally nothing but just an open field and there's no one around. There are people like on the other side of me. I'm trying to get more like comfortable filming in public spaces, and usually I try to find places that are like far away from people, but at the end of the day it's inevitable. Like if you're in public and you're filming, people are going to see, but also like it's 2023. Like we live in this day and age where people are on their phones creating content, creating art. Like this is actually really nothing new, so it's nothing for me to be ashamed of, just filming myself talking alone in the park. I brought one of my favorite coloring books and I really just wanted to like talk and color. What I wanted to talk about is just kind of like I don't know if duality is the right word, but I'm gonna use that, and I think as I further explain it, it will probably make sense. But the duality of emotions, I think a lot of times we don't realize that emotions that are in opposition of each other can still coexist in the same realm, if that makes sense. So like for example, I have been experiencing immense sadness and heaviness. Just like there's certain situations that happen in your past where you may not have been bothered by it, you may not have thought much of it, or you may have just swept it under the rug, and then months later, years later, emotions may come up for you regarding those situations that may feel heavier than you anticipated. So there's like immense sadness on that level, but then I also have this level of gratitude and joy and abundance and peace in my life. I am literally the happiest that I've ever been in my entire 23 years of life on this earth. Like I am happier than I've ever been. When I reflect back on my life, it's this present moment that brings me the most joy. And so sometimes it's like, obviously it's conflicting, but at the end of the day, that immense sadness and heaviness that I feel doesn't take away from the joy that I feel when I open my eyes in the morning and I get to experience another day of life and learning and experiences. But also that joy and gratitude in the same breath doesn't take away from the sadness and pain that I am trying to work through. And so I think the lesson that I'm getting from all of this is that it's okay to let opposing emotions happen at the same time. One doesn't take away from the other, and I think this lesson is just a way for me to accept my humanity, and accept just what this life is. And I'm really grateful that I'm learning not to resist so hard. I feel like my past self, when pain would come up for me, when emotions that I just didn't like would come up for me, my instinct would be to run away from it or to, retreat, obviously. But now I'm just like, I'm accepting it as it comes. When it comes, I allow it to. If it wants to go by, I allow it to. If it decides to come up for me again, I allow it to. Like, I think it's just the ebbs and flows of life, and it's part of processing emotions. I don't try to dwell on things longer than I need to, but I also don't try to resist the emotions that come up for me. And that's both good and bad. Like, even sometimes I find myself when I'm experiencing a lot of joy and happiness, I start to think, how long is this going to last? Like, is this feeling too good to be true? And I have to like catch myself in that and just be here now, be present now, and not think about if something bad is gonna happen down the line. And so I'm just learning, really. I'm learning, and 2023 is really like a year of practice for me. I feel like 2022, I learned so much on my spiritual journey, and I will continue to learn. But I think it's easier to learn things than it is to put them into practice. A lot of times we know things, but we aren't actively putting it into practice, or when we're confronted with certain situations, we forget the tools and resources that we've learned. And so that's what I've been trying to do, is just like in those moments where I want to, resist and run away and kind of react in the ways that I probably would have in the past, I have to like remind myself, like, hey, you've learned some things, you've healed a bit, like let's try and use those resources so that we don't perpetuate the same cycle.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Today drink.
But this is what I've been coloring lately. Hopefully it shows up. This is a very intricate piece of artwork, so it's been taking me a while to get through it. Okay, the sun is starting to go down, so the lighting is not the absolute best, but I guess the reminder that I want to give you, which is really what I'm giving myself, is to just be yourself authentically, because that is what you're going to do best. Like, if you're being yourself, you're gonna be the best at being yourself. You can't be the best version of yourself trying to be someone that you're not. And that is what I'm learning. And then I feel like naturally when you show up as yourself, things will start to just fall into place. Like the success, the love, the joy, the abundance, like all of that is just gonna naturally unfold as a byproduct of you being yourself.